All right, today we're going to break down one of the most powerful and maybe one of the most misunderstood business models ever created. It's a strategy that's influencing you every single day, whether you're making your morning coffee, printing a document, or even just firing up your game console. Yeah, you've definitely heard this one before, right? It's that legendary aha moment. The story of pure genius from King Gillette that gets told in every business school. It's catchy, it's smart, it sounds brilliant. Okay, so let's really get into this. Because what if I told you that whole story is basically a myth? The real story is so much more interesting, and honestly, it's a way better lesson. See, it shows you that these great business strategies, they aren't born in a flash of genius. Nope, they're forged in the fire of competition. Okay, first things first, we have to tear down this legend that everyone thinks they know. The idea that Gillette was just giving away razor handles from day one to get people hooked on his expensive blades. So get this, $5. That was the price of Gillette's first safety razor back in 1903. Now, $5 might not sound like a lot to us, but back then, that was a whole week's pay for a lot of American workers. This was a luxury item, not some cheap giveaway. And this is where it all clicks into place. The timeline tells the real story. You can see the classic razor and blades model wasn't some grand plan from the start. It was a defensive play. It was only after his patents ran out and suddenly everyone could make a compatible handle that Gillette was forced to slash prices on its razors just to protect its super profitable blade business. All right, so let's get into the nitty-gritty. How does this trap actually work, and why is it still so incredibly powerful today? The whole game is built around this one key concept, vendor lock-in. And look, it's not really about tricking you, it's about making it feel like way too much of a hassle to switch. The cost of leaving, in time, money, and effort, just feels higher than the cost of staying and buying their proprietary refills. It's a beautiful, simple, two-step dance. Step one, get them in the door, make that first purchase, the razor, super cheap, maybe even sell it at a loss. Step two, that's where you make your money. All the profit comes from the things they have to buy over and over again, the blades. Okay, but here's the big question. Why do we fall for this? Every time. I mean, we're supposed to be smart shoppers, right? Well, it turns out the answer has less to do with math and more to do with these funny little glitches in our own brains. It starts with something called anchoring bias. Our brains just latch on to that first number we see. So you see a printer for, say, $50. That number is now stuck in your head. It's your anchor. So later, when you have to pay $40 for an ink cartridge, it doesn't seem as crazy as it really is. And then you've got loss aversion piling on top of that. You know this feeling. You spend $200 on that fancy Keurig machine, it's sitting there on your counter, the thought of it just becoming a useless paperweight, it hurts. So you keep buying those pricey K-Cups, just so you don't feel like you wasted that first $200. And this chart just lays the whole trap bare. A classic safety razor costs more upfront, but the blades are practically free. You could literally save more than $60 a year. But for most of us, that higher initial cost just feels wrong. That $9 price tag for the cartridge razor is just too tempting, even though we know it's going to cost us way more in the long run. Okay, so once you see this pattern, you can't unsee it. It's not just about shaving. This model is everywhere. It's probably in your kitchen, your office, your living room right now. I mean, just look at these numbers. It's the same exact story across completely different fields. Sony and Microsoft, they often lose money on every single PlayStation or Xbox they sell. They make it all back on the games. Your printer was cheap for a reason. The real product is the ink. And your coffee machine? It's just a slick delivery system for those super high markup pods. This HP chart is just wow. It says it all. Think about this for a second. They design and build these amazing, complex computers for a tiny 5.8% profit margin. But the printing division, the part that just sells ink and toner, an 18.9% margin. That's more than 3 times as profitable. It's insane. But here's the thing. This model isn't bulletproof. And when companies get a little too greedy with it, oh boy, it can blow up in their faces, big time. The Keurig 2.0 disaster is a perfect example. It's a legendary business school case study for a reason. When their patents expired, they panicked. They built a new machine with a scanner that would physically block you from using cheaper third-party pods. They tried to force the lock-in, and customers revolted. Sales dropped by a massive 23%. You know you messed up when your own CEO has to come out and say something like this. And it proves a really important point. The lock-in has to feel like a convenience or a good value. The second it feels like a prison, your customers will start digging a tunnel. Okay, so now things get really interesting. Because in the tech world, some of the smartest companies have taken this model and completely reversed it. So instead of selling you a cheap razor and expensive blades, they sell you a really, really expensive razor. Think about it. Apple sells you a premium iPhone for a high margin. The blades are the apps and services in the App Store, many of them cheap or free, that make the iPhone so valuable that you can't imagine switching. Peloton, Tesla, they're all playing the same game. So, what's next for this 100-year-old strategy? Well, even though it's still incredibly powerful, it's starting to run into some serious modern-day challenges. Get your head around this number: 2 billion. That's how many disposable plastic razors end up in landfills in the US alone, every single year. The whole model is built on disposable stuff, and that creates this huge sustainability nightmare, from razors to coffee pods to ink cartridges. And people are starting to notice. So, what's the big takeaway here? It's just to open your eyes and see these systems for what they are. The next time you see a great deal on a printer or a coffee machine, just pause and ask yourself, what am I really buying into here? Because the product isn't always the thing in the box. More often than not, the real product is you. It's your future purchases. So what are you going to look at a little differently from now on?